Aging is something every one of us will face, and once you cross 75, the body begins to reveal truths that most people never talk about openly. These changes are not meant to scare you, but to prepare you. Understanding them can help you take charge of your health rather than feeling controlled by it. The first change is a significant shift in muscle mass and strength. After 75, the average person loses muscle at a rate that is faster than at any other time in life. This is why tasks that once felt easy, standing up from a chair, carrying groceries, walking stairs, suddenly feel more draining. But this isn't the end of the story. Even at 75 or 80, the body can rebuild muscle with consistent resistance training, protein intake, and daily movement. You are not helpless, your body still responds. The second change is in the brain. Memory lapses become more noticeable, concentration feels weaker, and mental processing slows down. This doesn't automatically mean dementia. The brain simply becomes more sensitive to stress, poor sleep, dehydration, and inactivity. When you stimulate your brain daily with learning, games, social connection, and physical activity, you create new neural pathways even in your late 70s and 80s. The brain remains adaptable if you give it the right environment. The third change affects hormones. Levels of sex hormones, stress hormones, and even appetite-related hormones decline or fluctuate. This leads to changes in energy, libido, sleep quality, and mood. Some people mistake this for depression or illness when it's actually hormonal aging. While you cannot completely stop these shifts, you can ease them through balanced nutrition, stress reduction, sunlight exposure, sleep hygiene, and certain doctor-recommended supplements. The fourth change is in the cardiovascular system. Blood vessels stiffen, blood pressure tends to rise, and the heart works harder to maintain circulation. This is why fatigue increases and recovery slows, but many older adults underestimate how powerful lifestyle changes can be. A simple 20 to 30-minute walk each day can improve circulation, stabilize blood pressure, and reduce the risk of heart-related events dramatically. Movement is medicine, especially at 75 and beyond. The fifth change is the decline in immune strength. Your body heals slower, infections hit harder, and inflammation tends to stay elevated. This is one of the biggest reasons older adults feel constantly tired. The immune system becomes less efficient, not because you're weak, but because it has spent a lifetime fighting for you. The good news is that nutrition, hydration, gut health, and quality sleep can improve immune resilience even late in life. These changes may sound intimidating, but they are universal. What matters most is how early you recognize them and how committed you are to responding instead of ignoring them. Aging is not the end. It is a new stage where awareness, discipline, and self-care become your greatest tools. Even at 75, your choices can reshape your future. You are never too old to regain strength, improve memory, stabilize mood, or rebuild health. The terrifying truth is that these changes strike everyone, but the empowering truth is that you have more control than you think. The first major change that strikes almost everyone after the age of 75 is the rapid loss of muscle mass and physical strength, something known medically as sarcopenia. This process begins subtly in the 40s and 50s, but after 75 it accelerates dramatically, affecting nearly every aspect of mobility and independence. Many people notice they can no longer stand up from a chair as easily as before, or they lose their balance more often, or they feel unusually tired from simple daily tasks. These everyday struggles are not signs of personal weakness. They're the result of biological changes happening inside the muscles, nerves, and hormonal systems. As we age, our muscle fibers shrink and the body becomes less efficient at repairing and rebuilding muscle tissue. Protein metabolism slows down, meaning the body cannot convert nutrients into muscle as effectively as it once did. But muscle loss is not only about aging cells, it is also heavily influenced by lifestyle. Years of sitting more than moving gradually weaken the legs, hips, core, and back, leading to a cycle where weakened muscles discourage activity, and lack of activity weakens the muscles even further. After 75, this cycle becomes more noticeable because the body no longer has the same reserves it once had. Movements that used to feel automatic now require deliberate effort. Another challenge is the weakening of the neuromuscular system. The communication between nerves and muscles becomes slower and less precise with age. This is why older adults may feel unsteady when walking or have difficulty coordinating movements. It's not clumsiness, it's neuromuscular aging. When nerves fire more slowly, reflexes decline and balance becomes more fragile. This can increase the risk of falls, which is one of the most dangerous consequences of muscle loss in older adults. Hormonal changes play a major role as well. Hormones like testosterone, estrogen, growth hormone, and IGF-1 naturally decrease with age, and these hormones are essential for muscle growth, strength, and repair. When they decline, the body simply cannot maintain muscle in the same way it did decades earlier. This hormonal shift combined with lower appetite and reduced protein intake common in older adults, leads to even faster muscle deterioration. Despite all of this, the most important truth is that muscle loss is not a life sentence. Even at 75 or 80, the body is capable of rebuilding strength when given the right stimulus. Research consistently shows that resistance training, even simple exercises done at home using body weight or light weights, can significantly increase muscle mass and strength in older adults. It also improves balance, posture, energy levels, and independence. A person who spends just 15 to 20 minutes a day strengthening their muscles can reverse years of decline. Nutrition is equally important. Adequate protein, hydration, and essential nutrients like vitamin D support muscle repair and function. The change is real, the decline is real, but so is the potential for improvement. Muscle loss after 75 is not the end of strength. It is a reminder to prioritize movement and nourishment more than ever. The body still responds, still adapts, and still gets stronger when you challenge it, no matter your age. The second major change that affects nearly everyone after the age of 75 is the shift that takes place within the brain. Many people assume that memory lapses, slower thinking, or difficulty concentrating are signs of permanent decline, but the reality is more complex. The brain is an incredibly dynamic organ, and while aging does impact its structure and function, it continues to adapt and grow when properly stimulated. After 75, however, the brain becomes more sensitive to lifestyle, environment, stress, and even hydration, which makes cognitive changes more noticeable. One of the earliest effects people notice is a slowdown in processing speed. Tasks that once felt automatic, such as remembering a name, following a conversation, or making quick decisions, begin to require a little more effort. This happens because the neurons responsible for transmitting information lose their efficiency with age. The protective coverings around these neurons, called myelin sheaths, gradually thin out, slowing down communication between brain cells. This doesn't mean that a person is becoming incompetent. It simply reflects natural aging of the nervous system. Memory also becomes more fragile. Short-term memory, in particular, can weaken because the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for forming new memories, tends to shrink with age. People may forget where they placed their keys, what they walked into a room to do, or the details of a recent conversation. Although frustrating, these are normal cognitive changes, not signs of dementia. It's important to distinguish between typical age, related memory changes, and pathological ones. Normal aging causes inconsistency, not complete loss. Another significant factor is reduced blood flow to the brain. As the cardiovascular system ages, blood vessels become stiffer and circulation becomes less efficient. The brain relies heavily on oxygen and nutrients, so even a slight reduction in blood flow can have noticeable effects on clarity, focus, and alertness. Many older adults feel mentally tired more often, not because of brain failure, but because their brain isn't getting the same supply of oxygen-rich blood it once did. Sleep quality also dramatically influences brain function, especially after 75. Deep sleep, the stage where the brain clears out waste products and consolidates memories, becomes harder to achieve with age. If the brain cannot remove toxins efficiently or process new information, cognitive performance naturally suffers. This is why older adults who sleep poorly often experience foggy thinking, irritability, and forgetfulness more intensely. Despite these changes, the brain maintains remarkable plasticity throughout life. Even in the late 70s and 80s, neurons can form new connections, new learning can spark growth, and new activities can strengthen cognitive resilience. Daily mental stimulation is essential. Activities like reading, puzzles, conversations, learning new skills, and physical exercise have been proven to increase cognitive performance and even expand brain volume. Physical movement, in particular, boosts blood flow and releases chemicals that support neuroplasticity. Ultimately, brain aging after 75 is a natural process, but not an irreversible one. You cannot stop the clock, but you can influence how your brain responds to it. Staying mentally active, socially connected, physically engaged, hydrated, and well-rested can dramatically improve brain health. The brain may slow down with age, but it never stops having the ability to grow and adapt when you give it the right environment. The third major change that becomes more noticeable after the age of 75 is the shift in the body's hormonal landscape. Hormones are the body's chemical messengers, directing everything from sleep and hunger to mood, energy, and even sexual function. Throughout life, hormone levels naturally rise and fall, but after 75, these changes become much more pronounced. The body produces lower amounts of several essential hormones, and it becomes less responsive to the hormones that are still present. This creates a ripple effect that influences almost every aspect of daily living, sometimes in subtle ways and sometimes in ways that people feel dramatically. One of the most significant changes involves sex hormones. Testosterone in men and estrogen in women decline steadily with age, but after 75, the drop tends to feel sharper. These hormones are not just about sexual desire, they influence muscle strength, bone density, energy, motivation, and overall vitality. When levels fall, people may experience reduced energy, decreased stamina, and less interest in activities they once enjoyed. These changes can lead to frustration or even emotional distress, not because a person is becoming weaker, but because their biological environment is shifting. Another key hormonal change involves melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating sleep. As the body ages, it produces far less melatonin, and this is one of the main reasons older adults struggle with falling asleep or staying asleep. Poor sleep then leads to daytime fatigue, irritability, memory issues, and reduced focus. Sleep is deeply connected to hormonal balance. When sleep suffers, every system in the body feels the effects. Cortisol, the stress hormone, also becomes more unpredictable with age. Instead of following a steady rhythm, high in the morning and lower in the evening, cortisol levels may fluctuate wildly. This can cause increased anxiety, restlessness, mood swings, and difficulty relaxing. Many older adults report feeling emotionally overwhelmed by situations that never bothered them in the past, simply because their stress response system is no longer regulated the way it used to be. Hormones that regulate appetite also shift. Ghrelin, which signals hunger, and leptin, which signals fullness, both become less reliable. Some older adults lose their appetite and unintentionally eat too little, leading to weight loss, weakness, and nutrient deficiencies. Others develop unusual cravings or fluctuating hunger patterns. Both scenarios impact energy levels and influence overall health. Nutrition becomes a conscious effort rather than an instinctive behavior. The thyroid gland, which controls metabolism, may also slow down with age. A sluggish thyroid can lead to unexplained fatigue, weight changes, cold intolerance, and slowed thinking. Even mild thyroid imbalances can have outsized effects in older adults because their bodies are less resilient to shifts in metabolic rate. Despite these hormonal changes, there is good news. Lifestyle choices can significantly improve hormonal balance. Sunlight exposure helps regulate melatonin and cortisol. Physical activity boosts testosterone, estrogen metabolism, and endorphin release. Proper nutrition provides the building blocks needed for hormone production. Even simple habits, managing stress, maintaining social connections, and getting consistent sleep can stabilize hormonal rhythms. The body may change at 75, but the tools to support it remain firmly in your hands. The fourth major change that becomes unavoidable after the age of 75 is the transformation that takes place within the cardiovascular system. The heart and blood vessels work tirelessly for decades, pumping blood through the body without rest, and by the time a person reaches their mid-70s, the wear on this system becomes more visible. Many people notice that they tire more easily, they get short of breath faster, or their heart seems to pound harder after even light activity. These changes aren't a sign of weakness. They are the natural result of aging blood vessels, aging heart muscles, and a lifetime of accumulated stress on the circulatory system. Blood vessels gradually lose elasticity with age. When you're young, arteries expand and contract easily with each heartbeat, allowing blood to flow smoothly and efficiently. But after 75, these vessels become stiffer and less flexible. This stiffness forces the heart to work harder to push blood through the system. As a result, blood pressure often rises and the heart experiences greater strain than it did decades earlier. This increased effort can lead to feelings of fatigue or heaviness during physical activity. Even when the activity is light, the heart muscle itself also changes over time. It may thicken slightly or become less efficient at contracting and relaxing. This affects how well it pumps blood and how quickly it can respond to increased demands such as climbing stairs or walking uphill. Older adults often notice a delay in recovery after exertion, not because they're out of shape, but because their heart can't adjust as quickly as it used to. The electrical system of the heart may also slow down or become irregular, leading to occasional palpitations or skipped beats. Another major factor is the gradual buildup of plaque inside arteries. Even small amounts of plaque can restrict blood flow, reducing the amount of oxygen reaching the brain, muscles, and organs. Reduced oxygen leads to slower thinking, lower stamina, and increased tiredness. Many older adults don't realize that feeling drained or lightheaded is sometimes directly linked to circulation, not just age. Circulation to the extremities, especially the legs, also declines after 75. This can cause cold feet, numbness, or aching during walking. It's not unusual for people to shorten their daily walk or avoid certain activities because of discomfort, but this becomes a dangerous cycle. The less you move, the weaker the heart becomes. The weaker the heart becomes, the less you're able to move. Fluid regulation becomes more challenging as well. The kidneys which help manage blood volume and pressure, lose efficiency with age. This can contribute to swelling in the ankles, fluctuating blood pressure, or greater sensitivity to dehydration. Even mild dehydration can strain the cardiovascular system, causing dizziness, fatigue, and confusion. Despite all these changes, the cardiovascular system remains deeply responsive to lifestyle adjustments, even at 75, 80, or beyond. A daily walk of just 20 to 30 minutes has been shown to significantly improve heart strength, stabilize blood pressure, enhance circulation, and boost overall endurance. Simple leg exercises increase blood flow and reduce stiffness. Hydration helps support blood volume and improves heart function. A diet rich in whole foods can slow plaque buildup and support artery health. Aging may transform the cardiovascular system, but it does not remove your ability to influence it. With consistent habits and mindful choices, the heart continues to adapt and improve, proving that even at 75, resilience is still possible. The fifth major change that affects nearly everyone after the age of 75 is the weakening of the immune system. This process, often referred to as immunosenescence, happens gradually throughout adulthood, but the effects become much more noticeable in the late 70s. The immune system, which has spent a lifetime protecting the body from infections, injuries, and environmental stressors, starts to lose its efficiency. This makes older adults more vulnerable to illnesses, slower to recover from injuries, and more prone to inflammation that lingers in the background without obvious symptoms. Many people wonder why they feel tired more often, why minor infections last longer, or why they seem to catch everything around them. These are not signs of failure, they are the natural consequences of a system that has been working hard for decades. One major reason the immune system weakens is that the body produces fewer immune cells with age. The thymus, an organ responsible for creating T cells, which are crucial for fighting viruses, shrinks significantly by the time a person reaches 75. With fewer active T cells, the body cannot respond to threats as quickly or as forcefully as it once did. This is why infections that once resolved in a few days may now take a week or more. It's also why older adults may not show typical symptoms of illness. The immune system is simply slower to react. Inflammation becomes more common as well. Chronic low-grade inflammation, often called inflammaging, increases significantly in older adults. This type of inflammation isn't caused by infection, it's caused by the immune system being stuck in a heightened alert mode. Over time, this drains energy levels, contributes to joint pain, increases fatigue, and even affects mood and cognitive function. People may feel sore, stiff, or exhausted without understanding that inflammation is quietly shaping how they feel each day. Wound healing also slows down because the body produces fewer repair cells and collagen becomes less abundant. A small cut, scrape, or bruise that once healed in days may now take much longer. This slower healing can lead to higher risks of infection, especially in individuals with circulation issues or diabetes. Skin becomes thinner and more fragile, making injuries more likely even from minor bumps. Another factor affecting immunity is the gut microbiome. The gut plays a critical role in immune function, and its balance shifts with age. Digestive enzymes decrease, gut bacteria diversity declines, and nutrient absorption becomes less efficient. A weakened gut means a weakened immune response. Because nearly 70% of the immune system lives within the digestive tract, older adults may experience more bloating, irregular bowel movements, or sensitivities to certain foods, all signs that the gut immune connection is changing. Sleep has a direct impact on immunity too, and because sleep often becomes disrupted after 75, the immune system loses one of its most important tools for recovery and repair. Poor sleep reduces the production of infection-fighting antibodies, which increases vulnerability to viruses and bacteria. Despite all these changes, the immune system can still be strengthened. Nutrition rich in whole foods, antioxidants, protein, and hydration supports immune cell function. Regular movement improves circulation, helping immune cells travel more efficiently through the body. Adequate sleep, stress management, and maintaining social connections all improve immune resilience. The immune system may weaken with age, but it still responds with remarkable strength when given the right care. The sixth and final change that becomes increasingly evident after the age of 75 is the body's overall decline in resilience and recovery. This does not refer to a single organ or system. Instead, it is a whole body shift that affects how quickly you bounce back from stress, illness, physical activity, emotional strain, or even daily routines. Throughout youth and middle age, the body recovers quickly from almost anything. Late nights, minor injuries, heavy meals, emotional challenges, or physical exertion. But after 75, the recovery process slows dramatically because every system in the body, from the muscles to the brain to the immune system, has less cellular energy and fewer biological resources to start the repair process. This slowing is one of the most universal and noticeable aspects of aging. One of the first signs of declining resilience is increased fatigue. Tasks that once took an hour may now require breaks, and activities that were once simple may feel draining. This isn't laziness or lack of motivation. It's the body signaling that it needs more time and energy to complete the same tasks. The mitochondria, tiny structures inside cells that produce energy, become less efficient with age. When energy production slows down, everything feels harder. Walking, thinking, lifting, concentrating, or even digesting food. Another consequence of this diminished resilience is slower recovery from illness. A cold that once lasted 3 days may now stretch into 2 weeks. A flu that used to cause mild discomfort may now result in exhaustion. Hospitalization, dehydration, stress, or infections can trigger what doctors call functional decline, meaning the body struggles to return to its previous baseline. Even after healing physically, older adults may notice lingering weakness, poor appetite, disrupted sleep, or reduced stamina. This is because the healing process itself consumes enormous biological resources that are no longer as abundant as they were decades earlier. Emotional resilience also shifts with age. After 75, stress hormones fluctuate more unpredictably, making it harder to cope with emotional challenges or major life changes. Loss, loneliness, routine disruptions, or even small conflicts can feel heavier than before. The brain becomes more sensitive to stress because neurotransmitter levels change, sleep patterns shift, and the nervous system reacts differently to pressure. This emotional sensitivity is a normal part of aging, but many people misunderstand it as depression or anxiety when it is really a biological response to diminished recovery capacity. Musculoskeletal recovery slows as well. A minor strain, sore joint, or muscle ache can last longer than it once did. The body has fewer collagen fibers and slower protein synthesis, meaning tissues need more time to repair themselves. This is why older adults often feel stiffness upon waking or after even small bouts of physical activity. It is not just wear and tear, it is a slower repair system. Even the digestive system shows reduced resilience. Heavy meals, spicy foods, dehydration, or irregular eating patterns can trigger discomfort that lasts longer than expected. The gut lining becomes more sensitive, stomach acid levels change, and digestion requires more energy than before. Despite these changes, the decline in resilience is not a signal to stop moving, stop trying, or stop living fully. In fact, the opposite is true. The body remains remarkably adaptable at 75 and beyond when given consistent support. Gentle exercise strengthens energy pathways. Nutritious meals improve cellular repair. Proper sleep restores hormonal balance. Hydration improves blood flow and organ function. Social connection, purpose, and mental engagement boost emotional resilience. While recovery slows with age, the ability to improve, strengthen, and thrive never disappears. Even small daily habits can rebuild resilience one step at a time. Aging is something none of us can escape, but understanding it gives you power. Once you reach 75, these changes don't arrive to defeat you. They arrive to remind you that your body needs support, attention, and care in ways it never did before. The truth may sound intimidating, but it is far from hopeless. Every system in your body, from your muscles to your brain to your heart, still responds to the choices you make each day. You may not move as quickly as you used to, or recover as effortlessly as before, but you are far from powerless. What matters most is your willingness to adapt. The simple habits you commit to: eating well, staying active, protecting your sleep, maintaining social connections, managing stress, and taking your health seriously can reshape the way you age. Age does not end your ability to grow stronger. It does not end your ability to think sharper, move better, or feel more alive. Even at 75, 80, or 90, your body is capable of rebuilding, healing, and improving when you give it the environment it needs. These changes happen to everyone, but not everyone chooses to fight back against them. You have the ability to protect your independence, preserve your energy, sharpen your mind, and strengthen your health. Aging may be inevitable, but decline does not have to be. Your next chapter is still yours to shape, and with awareness and action, it can be stronger, healthier, and more meaningful than you ever imagined.